Check out Bitcoin in the crypto markets right now. Joining us, Anthony Pompliano, founder and CEO of Professional Capital Management. Each week, there's more data points that seem to indicate just increasing adoption of not just Bitcoin, but I mean, Ethereum suddenly has gotten a lot of attention as well. Is it made up some of the underperformance in recent months at this point?
Well, look, I think that Bitcoin has established itself as the king of the market. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And I actually think most of Wall Street's time and attention is on Bitcoin. There are other assets that from time to time start to get some capital flows. But if you look, things like Ethereum, Solana, et cetera, they still haven't set in new all-time highs this summer. And so I think that Bitcoin has kind of broken away. Doesn't mean that some of these other assets maybe in the future can't do that, but Bitcoin definitely continues to dominate the market, both in terms of actual dominance of market cap, but also I think just capital flows and time and attention.
We've been having a lot of people on to talk about stable coins.
Yeah, well, the nice thing about stable coins is they don't go anywhere other than stay at $1. So, they can grow in market cap size in terms of how many people are using them, but I don't think people really use stable coins as a comparison to Bitcoin or altcoins where they're looking to try to drive some sort of financial performance.
What type of, I hesitate to call it derivatives, but there's a lot of different Bitcoin-based products coming out at this point. What do you think has staying power?
Yeah, well, if you really just look at what's happened over the last 5 to 7 years, is Bitcoin essentially went from a contrarian trade to a consensus trade. Everyone now, for the most part, is convinced that this thing is going to be around for a long time. And now what you see is Wall Street, who really was kind of ignoring it or trying to stiff arm Bitcoin, has now said, wait a second, let's open up the doors and let's embrace this thing because they figured out how to make money. And so you're seeing Bitcoin put into the Wall Street wrappers. First, you saw it with the ETFs. Now you're seeing it with public companies. You also have heard people announce things like Bitcoin and real estate funds. I think you're going to continue to see Wall Street take Bitcoin and put it in every single corner of the traditional financial system because ultimately Bitcoin brings volatility. Bitcoin brings financial return in a way that they're not used to seeing. And so I think that Bitcoin is something that is going to bring more customers, more assets, and more profits for these Wall Street institutions. And that's their job, is to go figure out how to grow their business, and Bitcoin can help them do that.
I mean, how many strategy, and it used to be MicroStrategy, but how many treasury officials at different companies are thinking about somehow not doing exactly what strategy, but putting Bitcoin into the treasury? Is that...
Yeah, well, look, I think the bigger conversation here is there should be way more pressure on the public company CEOs who are leaving a very large portion of their economic value for their shareholders in dollars. The U.S. dollar has lost 30% of its purchasing power in the last 5 years or so, since 2020. The S&P 500 denominated in Bitcoin is down 85% since 2020. Bitcoin is a much better store of value than U.S. dollars.
I guess people would say, are you out of your, people that don't believe in the whole story of crypto and Bitcoin?
Well, the Bitcoin...
I don't want my company speculating on, and as a shareholder, they would be, petrified to have a large stake in Bitcoin.
From a Bitcoiner's perspective, we think that they are speculating on the U.S. dollar's ability to store value. And so there is two things that have happened over the last 15 years. As Bitcoin has increased the purchasing power of the people and the companies who hold it, the U.S. dollar has destroyed that purchasing power. And so, again, it goes back to the fact that if you are running a company and you have shareholders and your job is to protect the economic value of that business, are you better off holding dollars for the next 10 years or putting it in Bitcoin? And I think what you're seeing is that this idea of storing corporate assets in Bitcoin, again, that is now a contrarian trade. I think it will become a consensus trade over time.
What are you going to do with your blank check thing, your ProCap thing? You looking around?
So we have two different deals. We obviously have the SPAC, the ProCap Acquisition Corp. We're looking to buy a profitable company.
Like what?
In the financial services sector. We think that there's a really big opportunity to go buy a great business that's profitable, that's growing quickly, that we can then use social media distribution to significantly enhance the business. And there's a lot of great companies that are out there, and we're going to go try to find one of those and figure out if we can do a great deal.
Is that what you're spending all your time on right now?
Well, look, I run an investment firm that's got, a team. We do a lot of deals. We do things in the private market. We do things in the public market. We incubated businesses. We're trying to build a firm that understands kind of this intersection of the digital world or the internet native world and traditional finance. And so far, we've been able to put together a couple of deals that I think are pretty interesting, and we'll see how it goes.
What's the next big thing to move Bitcoin higher, what do you think? Because it seems like you've gotten everything you wanted, haven't you, at this point?
Oh, there's still a lot more that we're
What do
looking
you
for.
want?
I think there's really three things that people are kind of paying attention to. The first is the United States government at some point is going to announce that they're buying Bitcoin. Creating the initial Bitcoin kind of strategic reserve and sitting the Bitcoin that we already had there was good, but that's kind of the not the main dish. The main dish is when they start buying, and I think that will happen at some point. The second thing I think you're going to see some of the last standing people on Wall Street capitulate. And so there's a couple of firms that continue to say, hey, we think that this is speculative. We think this isn't good enough for our clients. I think that they'll kind of eventually give up and wave the white flag.
And then finally, Andrew Ross Sorkin decides it.
I think Andrew Ross Sorkin understands Bitcoin.
The very last.
Not the last one.
No, I think that, look, there's a lot of folks who rightfully so historically have been. I think one time you and I talked in public, and I said, I put you in the category of you were cautiously optimistic.
I've been cautiously optimistic the whole time.
And I think that's a very fair position to take. But now I do think that it's transitioning.
I've been optimistic about Bitcoin the whole time.
Cautiously
Go
optimistic.
back and find the tape. 2012 and 13.
I can go back 2 years ago when it got down to 27,000. You were saying it's not a store of value. You've been saying it's not a store of value the entire ride up.
But that's a difference than whether it's a good trade.
Oh.
Go back and look at the tapes with the Winklevi twins.
I was here.
Coming on this show.
I was here.
2012, 13. Go look.
Never really been.
What'd you say? You said
go look. Just go look. You can go find the tapes.
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Thank you, Anthony.
Of course.
Fox, coming right back.